Patrick, thanks a million for joining us. We're already down in your dad's place. So your place of work, we bring you up to the hotel here now, and you must be incredibly busy in this league.
We are, but we're lucky. We have enough good staff and enough staff. So once you have, enough a good team around, everything else falls into place. And it's busy, but it's not. It's still very doable. So it's enjoyable.
Yeah, and it must be very exciting.
It is. It's hugely exciting. But we with the last couple of years, we've gone over to Cheltenham with 50, 60 horses and 10 or 12 favourites. So you get used to it. In good ways and bad ways. So the excitement and the pressure obviously lessens a bit every time, but not lessens, but you're more used to it, yeah.
And would you find, if you're on a really fancied one at Cheltenham, there must be tremendous pressure. Do you find as you get older, you just get used to dealing with it a bit more, you accept it a bit more?
Very much so. I mean, obviously there's always a little bit of nerves, there's that bit of nervous tension and, waiting around. But once you get out of the weigh room into the parade ring and get going, you want that. I mean, and I know I'm 34 now, so I've been riding at Cheltenham since 2007. So I know I've got, I can count on my fingers the amount of times I've got left. So, I want to more so enjoy the years I have left riding there, because I won't be able to do that forever.
Yeah, and do you ever find yourself when you're actually on a horse, maybe after a race or at the start of a race, just looking at the surroundings, the crowd or anything like that, or are you just so much in the zone, you're focused on what you're doing?
No, walking out, you would take it in more so than you would, because you have your plan ready. You know what at that stage you know what you're going to do. When you're down the start, it's different. You're trying to get your position. You're trying to see what everyone else is going to do. But definitely walking out at Cheltenham, walking around the parade and walking down, maybe galloping past the stands, you do take it in.
And is it different? I mean, say for example, if you go to Aintree or you go to Punchestown and all that sort of stuff, is there something just slightly different about Cheltenham?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Cheltenham is everyone there knows the owner, the trainer, the jockey, the sire, the dam, the form. Like, everyone there knows what's going on. Obviously Aintree has a brilliant party atmosphere, but more people are there for, the good time. Cheltenham does have its unique atmosphere, without doubt.
And was it always the plan for you, like from as young as you can remember, that you were going to be a jockey?
No, I went down to 2 Man United trial camps in Waterford and didn't get picked either time. Yeah, I used to play a good bit of soccer, and then just started. Obviously, we were always riding ponies. Willie always said to me, "I'm probably going to be too tall to be a jockey for very long." So when I was in school, we thought I might get 3 or 4 or 5 years out of it, and luckily Willie started to get very good, and I got tall, but my weight stayed stabilised for being an amateur. So.
Because you also, I mean, you played a good bit of rugby in school, went to Clongowes, and you had to stop at a certain point. Once they started pumping weights, I'd imagine you couldn't really add an extra bit of weight onto what you were doing.
That was it, yeah. I mean, I was always, I was running twice a day at the time, but I was played rugby until 3rd year, played kind of as a winger fullback, but then in 3rd year junior cup, everyone started doing weights, and I just said I didn't want to start doing weights, put on weight.
Would you have been on the junior cup team?
No, I'd have been. I was the B fullback or wing, but if someone got injured, I would have made the bench, maybe. Right.
And then would you still follow the rugby and stuff like that as well?
Yeah, definitely. We should be watching the Six Nations there, and obviously keep an eye on the senior and junior cup. But it was a great game. I love playing it, and it's something you miss in racing. That team training with a team. Obviously we have our team, but it's different. Team sports are very special too.
And you touched on it there with jockeys. There must be quite a lot of pressure on jockeys, because it is, I know you're saying you have the team around you, but there is a certain solitary element to it as well for jockeys, and there can be a lot of pressure from a mental perspective on them.
Yeah, but we share a changing room, so from that point of view, it's as if you're a team, but obviously in a race you're not, and you often see, if you can put Paul Town in a pocket, or you can close the door on someone else, it's you do it, and it's not taken personally. But at the end of the day, in the change room, it's very much a team atmosphere. But on the track, it's one-on-one.
Exactly, and yourself and Danny be a good example of that. I presume that's all fine anyway.
I mean, geez, myself and Danny, we've done that before, and we'll do that again. But I mean, in any other sport, it wouldn't. It happens in the games all the time. And I suppose the fact that Danny was my cousin, I felt I was able to gesticulate more often. But no, I mean, the very next night when Leopardstown finished, we went for dinner together, a big group. So
never a problem in that regard.
No.
And that's just part of race riding as well. Things like that do happen anyway, and obviously.
That's it, and you have to have a bit of an, you have to have a bit of an edge, or there is always a bit of aggression. Some guys are better at hiding it than others. I would have a bit of a temper, so it does come out every now and then.
But that's part of the competitive instinct as well, isn't it? With high-level jockeys, high-level sports people, and that you're going to get that, and you see it in a lot of the guys. When you're riding in races, what would be the best, like your best moment from Cheltenham that you can remember, like the absolute pinnacle where you got everything perfect?
From a Cheltenham point of view, I suppose the ride I enjoyed the most was Billaway in the Hunter's Chase, and we looked, he was off the bridle all the last mile and a half. He didn't jump fantastic. Looked maybe like we were beat. Looked well beat at third last. Made one conscious decision coming down the hill to switch in, and had to tell the fellow on my inside to move in. He was trying to come out because the fresh ground was down the inside, and that meant rather than having to go out in the old ground to come wide, after we saved ground there and we got up by a head. That was one where I thought that I was proud of a ride now, yeah.
And it was the jockey that made a big difference. A kind of a ride where you can say, well, I really did make a massive difference.
Yeah. Like other than obviously winning on Facile Vega and maybe Statler, they're rides, but there was a lot of fellas that could have rode those winners. Now there's horses that finish second on them, maybe other fellas will run on as well, so it goes both ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And what would you say is the best horse you ever rode?
Without doubt, Duvan is the best. Faugheen is probably the greatest. There's a difference. Duvan had the most ability. I got to ride him in Leopardstown one day at Christmas because Paul injured his ankle in the first race, and he destroyed Sizing John by 17 or 18 lengths. And he was like Usain Bolt. He was just a different shape than everyone else. He looked different. He was tall, leggy, light, but he wasn't the greatest horse because injury robbed him of his peak years.
And would that be to do with the fact that he was tall and leggy? Could that impact it?
I'd say when you look at his pedigree, it was a pedigree that didn't have a lot of good horses or a lot of winners. I'd say his pedigree wasn't particularly sound.
Yeah.
And that came out in the end.
And then, in terms of when you were growing up, were there certain jockeys that you would have imitated and ones that you'd have just picked off and said, I want to ride exactly like him?
Look, everyone wanted to be Ruby when I was growing up, I still want to be Ruby, but I don't think I'll ever quite get there. But Ruby and Dunwoody, I would have read Dunwoody's book, Obsessed. That was a great read. And then obviously Derek O'Connor as an amateur. Derek was always the fella setting all the records, and they're the fellas I was looking up to growing up, and
And coming up to Cheltenham now, who are you looking forward to riding most?
It looks like I'm probably going to be on Embassy Gardens in the National Chase, but that could change. If you could paint a horse to look like a National Chase horse, 4-miler, he's it. He's big, he's strong, he's round. He's normally very settled. He didn't settle in the Albert Barrett last year, but that start is downhill straight to a narrow enough hurdle. Everyone wants a position, and it just blew his head. Whereas the National Chase is usually a smaller field, and there's not so much of a rush to get a position. So I think he'll settle well. So he's probably going to be the shortest priced horse that I'll be riding anyway.
You should certainly have a chance. He is built for it, isn't he?
Built for it. I mean, ideally you'd love if he had maybe more than 2 runs over fences. But I think since they brought in the new rules 5 or 6 years ago about this race, the fields have been much smaller. So that's not as much of a negative as it used to be.
Very good. And ambitions for the future, both as a jockey and then trainer going on?
Well, look, I'd love to win the Kimure in Cheltenham. Willie's never won a handicap chase at Cheltenham, which is a crazy stat.
Never won a handicap chase
at Cheltenham, no. So I was second in it one year for Pat Kelly on Maldini. We just got beat a half length. Only 2 jockeys have won the 3 amateur races in Cheltenham, John Oaksey and Derek O'Connor, so I'd love to try and join them. Jamie has 10 Cheltenham winners, I only have 8, so I need to try and get past him. So plenty to do in riding. Obviously 1,000 winners. I hit 800 last year, so hopefully I can get to 1,000 before I'm 40. And then I would like to train in the future, but I'm in no rush to train. I'm involved with some of the horses at the yard at the moment, and whenever there's no, I want to ride as long as I can ride. I can train till I'm 60 or 70 or 80, but I can't ride for that long, so that's what I want to concentrate on most.
Very good. We always get the impression that you possibly have a bit of an input anyway on the training side with your dad. Do you discuss some of these horses quite a lot?
Yeah, we do. Like obviously we're both in the gallop every morning, and I would have always been riding out. Maybe the last year, 18 months, I'm on the ground more so. Yeah, it's working with your family isn't particularly easy. We don't maybe sit down around the kitchen table and discuss it every week, but we have our own way of working together, and it seems to work.